Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Remember, you're good-looking because you're always looking for and finding the good. You found good in abundance because you consciously tuned in to Ion Las Vegas with your humble host, Barry Shore, known as the Ambassador of Joy. Notice I didn't say the Ambassador of Joy. The Ambassador of Joy. And you know, in this show, we talk about one of the most interesting places in the whole world. I am privileged to speak to millions of people around the world on my podcast every week, 500,000 people listening right now. And I have several of these podcasts during the month. And whenever I mention two words, everybody leans in, opens their eyes and ears, they tell me more. And these two words are Las Vegas, because Las Vegas doesn't just stand for sex and gambling. It's about energy. It's about expression. It's about exuberance. That's what Las Vegas is. Let me tell you one amazing thing before we bring on our fabulous guest today, who you're going to love. If you take the entire population of New York City and everybody around it, the entire population of Chicago and all the people around it, the entire population of Los Angeles, all the people around it, add them all together, doesn't come to the number of people that come to, through, and for Las Vegas in a given year. 41 million people come here because it is a place of exuberance and energy and something unique and wonderful. And one of the great expositors of unique and wonderful is the fabulous, amazing, always wonderful Jeff Leibow. Jeff, please say hello to 511,613 people around the world.
Hello, all of you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. So I'm just going to tell everybody, if we started telling you all the things that Jeff has accomplished in his short career of spanning several decades, it would take the rest of the show. I'm going to give you 3 data points that are really cool. Number one, most people on the planet, especially in the United States of America, have heard of a show called Jersey Boys. And he was in it, of it, all around it for many years. Number two is a lot of film credits. And more importantly, most importantly of all, happily married to a wonderful woman named Melody. Yes, that's her real name. And has a beautiful daughter named Emma. And that is the focus of his life. But let's just jump right in, Jeff, and talk about, to begin, let's talk about Jersey Boys.
All right.
How did you get involved? Tell people who may be living, in the backwoods for the past 3 decades, what is Jersey Boys and what does it mean for American theater?
Jersey Boys was a story that was, it actually was almost a jukebox musical, but luckily the writers who were taking the music of the Four Seasons, Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, and trying to create a story around it, they actually met the guys, talked to them, and realized they didn't need to make up a story. There was a real story right there. So it's the actual story of the Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons and how they became the stars that they were. And of course, all the drama that leads to the end of the show and reminds everybody that Frankie Valli, even at the age of 91, is still running around the country touring and singing these songs.
Okay, one moment. I just want everybody to pause for a moment. Because our audience, 88% of them under the age of 35. So many of them never heard of Frankie Valli.
Okay.
Now, Sherry baby.
Yeah.
Talk
like a man, talk like a man. Yeah, exactly.
Iconic voices and songs in the American Songbook. And if you don't know, everything is in the show notes. So you don't have to write anything down. You're going to be able to, this is recorded, so you can go back and listen again and write it down and just explore. Because what Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons brought to America through radio in the 1960s, which I was there, really a phenomenon, Jeff, wasn't it? I mean, it was at the time even of the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Elvis, and still in all, with all of that, Frankie Valli's voice, we'll call it the voice, did break through, didn't it?
It did. Well, I mean, the ultimate nod to him was that when the Beatles came to America for the first time, the first person that John Lennon wanted to meet was Frankie Valli. And so, I mean, and that's just because, they were America's version of the Beatles at the same time. And they were, their songbook is never ending. And the number of hits, even as well as I knew the music in the show, every time we would learn a new song, I would think, oh my gosh, I forgot they sang that. Oh gosh, this is such a great song. I forgot they sang that. And the list goes on. So it was really a joy to be a part of.
Now, I will tell everybody, for some reason, and it's really funny to say, because interestingly enough, Jeff is here in Las Vegas area, as am I. That's why we call the show I in Las Vegas, EYE. Somehow your sound is a little bit off. It's there's a latency. So I'm not sure, it must be something to do with your connection. And just I ask people, bear with it, because it's just so wonderful to have Jeff with us. And I don't want to go back out and come back in and start again. I just wanted you to be aware of that. So just, if anything we can do, we're going to do it. So Jeff, you were with the show. What did you do in the show? Oh. Okay.
That's all right. I was trying to fix it myself. I lost my beautiful back, but at least hopefully this is a little bit better.
Well, let's hope it's a little better. So what did you particularly do in the Jersey Boys show?
So I played the role of Nick Massi. Nick Massi was one of the original 4 seasons, and so I got to be one of the 4 seasons all night, every night for 7 years. Nick was just to give everybody an idea. When you hear it, finally look back, if you don't know the 4 seasons and you go back and you listen to this music, Nick was the vocal sound. He did all of the vocal arrangements in his head on the spot when they were doing rehearsals. So,
wow. And by the way, when you say every night for 7 years, did you really do a show every night and 2 on Sunday?
We did 8 shows a week. We did get a day off, but we did 8 shows a week, and that was over 7 years. So I did almost 2,700 performances as yeah.
And I'm going to put words in your mouth, but I'm going to ask you first. At what point did you ever say, I don't want to do this? Or did you never say, I don't want to go on tonight?
Honestly, no. I mean, the fact that I lasted 7 years as an actor, says a lot. Actors are known for having short attention spans. And it was truly a joy. I mean, honestly, we're going to get to the reason why I left the show. And if I can think of one reason why I would want to go do something else, the reason that we'll discuss is that reason. And that's all wrapped around family. But other than that, no, I every night I would go and enjoy it. And I would get to put away my day and whatever happened during that day, and I would get on the stage and do what I love in a show where I got to be a true storyteller, which is my favorite part about being an actor.
I'm going to ask something that always fascinated me. I had a very tiny taste of theater for a couple of years. And one of the things that I found most moving was, even though the lines were the same, the music was the same, I'm going to say this for me, I wasn't the same because the audience was different. Every audience came, they were a new audience. They were different people.
Yep.
And that energized me as the performer. Is that true for you also?
Absolutely. I mean, and the show is an interesting show in that it's the show for people who don't like musicals. And so we would get a lot of people in the audiences that you would not normally see in the audience of a musical. And it was our job every night to get them so into the story and the music that they would be on their feet at the end. And the journey to make that happen was different than the audience when you look out and you recognize everybody and you know that they already know the show and the music and they're just ready to enjoy themselves. And that's what makes performing so fun and interesting, is that you get to tell this story, but you get to watch the audience respond to this story every night, no matter who they are.
So you mentioned the word journey and you mentioned the word story. I want to look at both of them. So journey is a very amazing word because this show is about joy. And the acronym that we use for joy is Journey of You. And that's really what this is about. So you mentioned tongue in cheek, and it's very true. And Frankie Valli, at the age of 91, which, by the way, let's be blunt, that's an advanced age, is still going on stage. And even if he's not articulating every song with full fervor, he's still there. He may be mouthing the words, but his presence is there. So let's talk about the story. is the story, let's say, that like the hero's journey. In other words, it goes through ups and downs, and it has pathos and all kinds of heart-tugging situations.
It is, the underdog of the story is initially the Four Seasons, but Frankie Valli, in his position after the tumultuous relationships, sort of becomes the focus of that, and the new hero in the second act. But these guys were tough guys. They met in the street. I mean, literally, Nick Massi, the role that I played, and Tommy DeVito, who lived in Vegas until he passed just a few years ago. They literally met in front of an ice cream parlor in New Jersey under a street lamp, singing with a group of guys.
Wait a minute. It's too much fun to talk about this. Understand, you're talking about white guys and you're talking about tough streets. Just switch the roles, and it could be the same thing, with black kids today. Or at one point, it was Puerto Rican kids. People go through stages. It was a tough neighborhood.
It was, and these guys were definitely, they might have gone out and met in front of the ice cream parlor and sang it under a street lamp, but these guys were not to be messed with. I mean, they grew up with guys who were in the mob. They were that thing. This was a time when the streets of New Jersey were everything that probably the stereotypes help you imagine. And they managed to get off the streets and onto the stage and made some music that I don't think will ever disappear.
Okay, I want to make a quick note here because at almost the same time, in another city that has been nicknamed Motown, Motor City, because that was Detroit, it was another phenomenon that specifically involved Black kids, mostly girl, but also some boy groups. Like we can easily name, the Supremes were the girls group, let's as an example, and the boys group was called the Temptations. And interestingly enough, though, they were not on the mean streets. These kids came from church environments. They were singing gospel music, but with very hip lyrics and all kinds of wonderful things about love. And yet you're talking about the Four Seasons. These were tough kids. These are kids who did carry knives and had people that they knew that were in the mafia, right? Yeah. I mean, we're talking about but it was all part of a phenomenon in America at the time where music was in the air, wasn't it, Jeff?
It was. I mean, you think about how much of the music that this country knows, even decades later, the time that it was born, and it was really in the heart of that period. Some of just the best music that this country has made, if you ask me. Everything from Motown to doo-wop, all of this great music.
Right. Oh, I love it. Doo-wop and Motown. Again, everything is in the show notes because we have people from all over the world. We have people from Bhutan, from Pakistan, from Congo, from Argentina. Everybody's listening. If you don't know this stuff, it's in the footnotes. I mean, the show notes. Just you got to look it up because it's so much fun. It's so exhilarating, so interesting. And Jeff is the dynamic face and the reality of all of this. Now, as a cliffhanger, don't go away. We have beautiful, wonderful people that love our show. They sponsor it. We're going to go to a 1-minute break. We'll be right back with more wonderful Jeff on the other side of this. We're going to go to another part of his story. Don't go away.
Any business leader who has stood in front of potential investors can tell you, creating a vivid, compelling vision of the future can be the difference between bankruptcy and billions. If you can move people with words, you can practically will things into existence. Something that seems impossible can be made to seem inevitable. But not with bullet points, with a well-crafted and well-told story. I spent 30 years in advertising, creating stories for giant brands, universities, and governments, and changing people's hearts and minds. And over those years, I accumulated a treasure chest of insights about how to entertain and inspire and move people. And I think I can teach you. Can you think of a tool more powerful than human speech? See how your value changes when you start to master the oldest human art form.
Good day, beautiful, bountiful, beloved immortal beings, and good-looking people. Maybe you're good-looking, so always looking for and finding the good. Our cup runneth over with good. His name is Jeff Leibow, and we've been discussing Jersey Boys. And before we transition to the next stage of your life, called the Formers and NFA, and the NFH, the NF Hope and such, just do us all a favor. Can you rattle off 6, 7, 8 songs that were part of Jersey Boys?
Well, there's what we call the big three: Sherry, Big Girls Don't Cry, and Walk Like a Man. Those are the really big ones.
Oh, wait a minute. Walk Like a Man. I'm telling you, there wasn't a kid. I mean, I was one of them. There wasn't a kid in America, a guy, that didn't sing that song, even with a falsetto.
Yeah.
It was almost like, that doesn't make sense. Walk Like a Man. I'm singing like a soprano. And then, of course, the soprano. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
And then, of course, Dawn and Can't Take My Eyes Off You, and Who Loves You. Tonight. I mean, come on. Yeah.
Okay. Look, everybody, you're having fun today because Jeff is one of the most entertaining, and I use it purposely, one of the most entertaining people you'll ever get a chance to interact with. So listen to this again. And as I always urge you, share this with 5 people. You want to do 50 or 100, that's great, but at least 5. That way, over 2 million people, because we have 500,000 listeners. You'll have over 2.5 million people listening to this because it's just a fun show. But let's talk about one of the transitions that you made for something called the Formers. Now, the Formers is spelled Fourmers, the number 4, Formers. What is Formers and why is it existing?
Well, we're skipping over a huge part of the journey, sort of the end of it right now, because that's where the Formers is a very new thing. About 3 years ago, one of my buddies from Jersey Boys contacted me and said, "Hey, this guy that we both know called me up and said, let's put a group together." And I told him I know exactly who I want to bring together. And he brought together him along with himself. He brought 3 guys from the show. And we decided we wanted to put together a show that was, the music that helped us all get to Jersey Boys, the music that we all love, that kind of all landed us in the same place at the same time. And so we created this group called the Formers. We're 4 guys, F-O-U-R, and all former Jersey Boys. And we have been blessed. In the last 3 years, we have been headliners at the South Point and appear on their main showroom stage, 12 to 16 times a year. And continuing on into next year, we've been able to perform in Florida and Arizona, and we're working on sort of building this into a brand and something. And to be totally honest, this is a gift that I never thought that I would get again. I was prepared when I left the stage to pursue the philanthropy work that I do, that I was saying goodbye. And so this has been an amazing circle back to what got me here in the first place. And I'm loving every second of it.
So I want to ask a couple of questions about the Formers and such. When you do this and you're on stage and you say South Point, of course, you're using that inside baseball stuff. That's a big venue here in this area. How many people in the audience? Are we talking 100, 300, 500, 1,000?
Every time we perform, we have sold out there, and it's 400 people in the audience.
So, and again, you're traveling around the country, like you said, different venues and such like that. And it's here's the more important thing. It's well received.
Incredible. I mean, the fact that we have sold out every Las Vegas show that we have done, which is not something that any other group in there can say, at least not in the last couple of years while we've been there, we pinch ourselves a lot. Because we're getting on stage and we talked about this great music. We get to sing doo-wop and we dig into a little bit of rock and roll. Of course, we have to hit the Four Seasons music, and we do a little of the Rat Pack and some of our other favorites. And we even sit down and tell the story of how we all landed in the show together. It is it has been incredibly well received. It's a little bit different than most shows, and I think that has been something that's worked really well for us.
And the person who tapped you, because let's call it like this, it is, you've been tapped by an angel. The person who tapped you was part of the Jersey Boys group, the inner circle.
Well, yeah. So to give credit where credit is due, our friend Sal Cuco got to know us while we were in the show, and he's the one that made the call. But he called a good buddy of mine, Devin May. Devin and I were in Jersey Boys in Las Vegas together for more than 5 years together. And so when Devin said, "Yeah, I know who to call," he called me. He called one of his friends, Douglas Crawford, who they've known long before Jersey Boys and during, and then another friend of ours, Dominic Scaglione, who's every bit the actual Jersey boy that you could imagine. And the four of us sat down and started putting this together.
Okay, here's the real question, Jeff. Does that fellow who you just said is the essence of Jersey Boy, does he have a real Jersey accent?
He actually grew up in the same neighborhood as the Four Seasons. So absolutely he is the real deal in every possible way. As a matter of fact, his dad actually arrested the guys in the Four Seasons a number of times during his career in law enforcement. So they are incredibly connected, and he is the real deal. As a matter of fact, in New York, he's off doing a Frank Sinatra show right now. So yeah, he's the real thing.
This is so wonderful. I'm going to plant the seed. It may be that we're going to do a Zoom together, or a StreamYard together with one or two or three of the guys, and maybe do a 1 hour show, just broadcast it around the world for fun. But we'll talk about that. Let's do a little bit of a pivot here and talk about something that is a focus of your life, because this is truly wonderful. Building a brand called The Formers, performing for hundreds of people at a time, and making people feel good is a wonderful aspect of living. Let's be blunt.
Right.
You and your wonderful wife, Melody, were blessed with a beautiful daughter. Her name is Emma. And Emma has a rare disease. And it's a unique disease in that it's not completely debilitating. Matter of fact, she told me she's 16 years old and you wouldn't even know she's anything other than a 16-year-old. And yet it is something that does affect a number of people. And we need more research about it to be able to rid ourselves of this kind of disease, because tens of thousands of people living with it. I'm going to say you call it NF.
Mm-hmm.
It's called, of course, neurofibromatosis. So
very good.
Put that in your show notes and you can look it up. Talk to us about NF Hope, what it is that you do, and why you do it. I know you do it for Emma, but what is it that truly animates you in the morning?
I was in Jersey Boys when Emma was first diagnosed, and like so many people, we had never heard the word before. We had no idea what it meant. We certainly had no idea what it meant for Emma and her life, and even how it would affect ours, although our focus was always on her. When I finally got to understand what it was, and that there was no cure, and that there were no treatments at the time, and that essentially all we had to do was wait for something bad to happen, hope that it didn't, and if it did, we had to pray that there was something to do. A rare disease it makes you feel like you live on an island, especially when nobody in your family or your friends had heard the word either. So my wife and I decided that we wanted to do something, mostly to raise awareness, so that when a new family said, "Hey, my child was diagnosed with neurofibromatosis," that they wouldn't always get somebody who had absolutely no idea. They would find somebody who knew, who could say, "I understand." And so we created this event called the NF Hope Concert. Back in 2010, we came up with this idea, and it was taking what we knew, which was for entertainment, and using it to create an afternoon of awareness and education, and of course fundraising for a cause that we were getting to know and we're clearly very passionate about, because we wanted to take it away from our daughter, which is not something we get to do yet.
So I want to make mention of a couple of things here. The ability to recognize something that is life-changing. And I'll say it like this, the same moment, not life-threatening, thank God. And to be able to make a decision, you and your wife, to do something about it. And you, as you said, first thing is raise awareness. And raise awareness often goes hand in glove with raising money, which we can talk about how that can happen. Everything in the show notes so people can do it. I love the idea of the NF Hope concert. By the way, I gave you an acronym for your name while the commercial was being played. Would you like to hear an acronym for
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Okay, so your name is Jeff, Jeff. You ready?
Yep.
Joy expressed fully forever.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to go back into the show notes to make sure I don't forget that.
Joy expressed fully forever, because that's what you're doing. You're using your, as you said, you and Melody decided, what do we do? What do we know? What we know is not to go around with a, frowning face and a hat in hand and say, woe is me, but say, wow is me. Let's do what we do best, which is to perform, to create awareness. I actually, in this very moment, just created an acronym for Emma's name. I'm going to read it to you, see if it resonates. Emma, EMMA, stands for Everything Matters, Making Awareness.
Love it. Love it.
So the ability for you to have the NF, so the NF Hope concert, is that also, are you playing with the NFF concert here in Las Vegas?
We do. So we actually founded it here in Las Vegas, and we have done it annually since 2011 was our very first concert. So, and on October 19th at the Smith Center, we are doing our 15th annual NF Hope concert here in Las Vegas. I've also done it in New York and in Chicago. And while New York is on a hiatus of sorts, Chicago is still going strong. And outside of the virtual ones that we, as a matter of fact, did in StreamYard during COVID, we continue to do live events now back in Chicago, and we'll be having our 6th annual live event in December.
I tell you, it is the essence of what HOPE is. HOPE is a great acronym that stands for helping others progress every day. That's what HOPE is. You're giving people the opportunity to believe that life is right now. And whatever the situations that you have, you deal with what you have, and you don't just make the best of it, you make it the best. Am I right on that, Jeff?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I'm actually a little bit loath to say the words I'm about to say. So this is the nature of life and podcasts. We're coming to a close on our time together. So I have 3 quick questions for you. You ready?
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Number 1 question. Will you come back again?
I would love to come back again.
Thank you. Number 2, Jeff, you have only 80 seconds to answer this question.
Okay.
What is your most fervent desire?
That's easy. To not need to have to do the NF Hope concert anymore because NF doesn't exist.
Woo! I love him. By the way, he'll be available for concerts for others to continue to get rid of those diseases too. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
And number 3, may I give you a hug in front of 517,922 people around the world?
Yes, please.
Let me tell you what HUG stands for. Heartfelt, unlimited giving. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And you are listening to Eye on Las Vegas with your humble host, Barry Shaw, the ambassador of joy, and Jeff Leibow, and everything that we discussed today. I want everybody to understand, as great as Jeff is, fabulous fellow, wonderful Barry, this show is not about you, about Jeff or about Barry. It's about you. YOU. You becoming the best you. So share this with other people, spread the joy, spread the happiness, peace and love, and we're going to give you a blessing from Jeff and Barry. Go forth, live exuberantly, spread the seeds of joy, happiness, peace, and love. Go mad. Go make a difference. Jeff, don't go away.